Hey guys, it's your girl Sidnee Michelle here with Black Enterprises Lights Camera Business. I have the honor of sitting next to Chicago's finest, Vic Mensa.
How you doing?
How are you?
Thank you for having me.
I mean, the resume is heavy. Philanthropist, artist, actor, community organizer, leader. I just love the evolution of your journey. So I kind of want to dig into that if you don't mind. All right, we're going to start with Vic Mensa, Chicago's finest, literally starting from Chicago where it all started. As someone who's kind of poured into the city, how are you feeling about Chicago in 2025? What's the energy of the city? How are you feeling about the city?
I'm excited about Chicago in this moment. I think there's some brilliant new talent, and obviously the Chi has been able to have longevity in an age when Black shows are dropping like flies, and that's a beautiful thing. There's a good energy in Chicago right now.
Okay, I love that. I can't wait to see what the rest of the year shall bring. Speaking of Chicago and how much you've kind of poured into the city, you got the 93 Boys case right here. Talk to me about it. 93 Boys, Chicago's first Black-owned cannabis brand. Just another way you're kind of pouring into the city, not only through community, but through the economy. Talk to me about that. What was it like launching that, and how does it feel to kind of put money back into the city?
So 93 Boys launched a few years back as the first Black-owned cannabis brand in Illinois. Cannabis industry obviously is what is built on pain of the Black communities and still has very little to no representation. So stoked to be that representation, and the ethos of the brand is a portion of every puff goes back into the community. Basically, it's a plant that's been used to steal freedom from so many, so we try to use it to free our people at the same time. And it's a blessing, because I started hustling when I was very young. And I was just rapping yesterday. I was thinking man, damn, trapping out my mama, that shit brought me a crank. I was hustling out my mom's house, especially in the alley.
And look at you now. And look at you now.
I had this one lawyer when I caught a case when I was a kid. He was like, "There's no hope with dope." He wanted to drug test me for a week. There's no hope with dope.
That's right.
If only you knew.
Right. If only you knew. 2025, 93 Boys kind of kicked in the door for legal cannabis. That's a huge thing, though. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a blessing. I'm incredibly blessed and glad to be able to continue to push the brand and the message, and use the brand for different creative philanthropy strategies to address the problems that our people face.
I couldn't agree more. Like I said, as someone who's kind of poured into the community, as you have, we're Black Enterprise, so we love to talk about wealth building. And I know that's a passion of yours too, especially in our community. What do you see as some of the biggest obstacles in our way? Say there's a young Vic Mensa out there who wants to start a cannabis brand, or who wants to start a music label, who wants to start a film company, any type of creative who just doesn't really have that access to capital. What would be your best point of advice for them to, achieve their dreams as you did? Because I think that's the biggest obstacle in our way, is not having the access to capital our white companies.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always dreaming new ideas constantly. I think that in this day and age, the name of the game is just get started in whatever capacity you can. Any ideas, any concepts that you have, just sit by to start them. Start them with what you got. If it's a weed brand that you want to start, make Mylar bags. Put weed in the bags. You know what I mean? If it's a music label that you want to start, go get the LLC, create the assets, create a brand, create a logo. Just start putting out music. You know what I mean? I've got so many big ideas that I've been holding on to, been sitting on for years, and I'm just really inspired in this moment to actualize them right now. Life is happening today. You know, the birds are chirping, the sun is shining today. Like, make it happen today. Even if you don't have the startup capital, and you can start it in the way that you have the ability to. Because everything is at our fingertips. Like, everything is at our disposal. You know what I mean? From the top down, it's like you can start something today.
So the main point, just get started.
Just get started. You know what I mean? I feel like, man, I'd be guilty of this just as so many of us do. Like, we have these big aspirations, and we're like, man, I'm gonna do that idea when like the stars align and I've got the right support, and you know, and it'll be the right time. And then somebody else does your shit. It's like,
While you wait for the
you waiting for the perfect moment. Somebody, I mean, I see this shit all the time. I got ideas right now for my shit that I've been crafting and getting perfect, and in that time, 2 guys in my same lane have come and done things very similar to what I was already like concocted. And, you know, that's because the good ideas, they just exist in the zeitgeist, and we're all plucking from it. It's not coming from me or you, it's coming through us. And if we don't take advantage of that opportunity to be a channel for inspiration, and somebody else will find it. If it's floating in the air, like somebody gonna find it.
Something to find. Diving back into Vic Mensa, the actor. Let's talk about The Chi, man. As I mentioned, my mom is from Southside, so The Chi has been a very special show to me and to my family.
Dope.
Seeing you as a Chicago native on the show was even better. Talk to me about your character, because I feel like the evolution of him on the show was dope to watch. Coming from fresh out of jail, kind of to having this fresh out to this hard exterior, to now we see him as a mentor figure, as a big brother, and someone who's showing his emotion. Talk to me about that. And it kind of relates kind of to you, not with your evolution. Talk to me about that. Yeah.
It's fun playing Jamal on the shot, being fresh out. Because people tell me in the gym all the time, boy, your ass look like you fresh out. Doing L-sits and shit. You know, art imitates life and vice versa. And so there are so many parallels between my life and Jamal's story. And just redemption and reinvention and, you know, resurrection, striving to become a better person, to have boundaries with myself, to have discipline. So in my character research for Jamal, when I'm diving into his past experiences, I'm placing myself in that jail cell and just thinking about the times when I've been in the jail cell, like just dreaming of how my life is gonna look, feel, taste, smell, when my blessings appear for me, you know, when my dreams come to fruition. And this season in The Chi is really beautiful because a lot of Jamal's, a lot of his secret prayers, as we say in Islam, are granted. I mean, when you're in the belly of the beast, because the prison is the heart of America. You know, it's the real truth of America. Oftentimes I talk to people like family in Ghana and elsewhere, and I'd be like, man, America, you know, so lucky to be there. And I feel that. I feel incredibly blessed to be in a place that's safe. There are bombs dropping, there's no famine, my family can eat, there's clean water, housing. But if you're in a prison, all of those things are not true for you. The opposite is true for you. So being in that belly of the beast, as Jamal, is a place that I put myself into, and the secret prayers of Jamal to find love. Because when you're in prison, you're so forgotten. You know, that's the thing about the prison. It's like, listen, I'll be forgotten people as American. And you don't even know that there are human beings still dealing with literal slavery. 13th Amendment outlaws slavery except as punishment for a crime. And, you know, who creates the laws? So you'd be in that, and you're forgotten. You're on the phone every day just trying to get somebody to send you $20. You're spreading out your shots to be like, man, let me ask this person because I asked them last time and they got kind of upset, and let me try again. Let me ask my auntie. Let me ask my auntie's husband. You know, you're looking for love. You're looking for somebody to care about you. You're looking for somebody to be concerned with your humanity. And in this season, Jamal is coming into life. He's coming into family. He's coming into acceptance. He's coming into acknowledgement of his humanity as more than a mistake. And those are all things that like I deeply resonate with as Vic. So it's fun to play him as Jamal, you know, because I can draw on so much personal experience and give it a little bit of a different flavor to it.
I love that. And I can't wait to see, you know, for the rest of the season, what Jamal does. But another thing I really loved about him was I feel like he's really tapping into his emotional intelligence this season. And even we saw some last season. Talk to me about the parallel between Black men and really being available to be emotionally intelligent. Because what I love about The Chi is we see these Black men go through their emotions. In the beginning of the show, not so much, but as they come together with community, with Jamal, with your character, with Luke's character, it's just a beautiful thing to see. And I feel like in 2025, we still don't see enough of Black men being comfortable to be emotionally intelligent, to express their emotions, especially in difficult situations. It's a beautiful thing to see.
I agree. And I think we got to give a lot of love to Lena and the many brilliant women that write this show. Because, you know, women understand emotion better than men. It's true that emotional intelligence is not high on the list of things that we as Black men are conditioned to value. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're taught to value power, money, violence. These are the currencies, you know, of our community. It's minimized. There are other things that are valued, but I mean, look at the things we uphold. Look at the music that we champion. Look at the media that we champion. Look at the people that we platform. We are taught to value money, power, violence, money, power, respect, and you go through life and you start to realize this shit is a trick bag. Like, I've been finessed because I was taught very clearly by the male role models in my life, like, this is what brings you value, your capacity for violence. And in the respect, you know, violence is a part of masculinity, you know what I'm saying? And it is, in a respect, it's a necessary, the capacity for violence is necessary at times. But it's not what ultimately brings us value. And you grow up and you be like, actually, this shit is taking away from my value. So, like, this shit is landing me in prison. This shit is losing me money.
Family.
I'm ostracizing people in my family. Like, I always felt like, man, I'm the man in my family. Like, I want to protect them. I want to protect my sisters. I have 2 sisters. And it got to a point, though, where I couldn't protect my sisters because they wouldn't tell me nothing, because they're like, you're going to go beat somebody ass. Like, you're going to take this too far. You're going to make my situation worse. And so I actually negated my ability to be a protector because of my obsession with violence. And, you know, those are like the convoluted forms of masculinity that Black men are raised in. So I do believe that this show in this moment, like, given depth and dimension and showing other avenues of manhood is valuable. Because where do we learn what our values are? You know, we often learn them from, like, media that we consume, you know? We learn them from, like, our trusted platforms. If it's our trusted artists or trusted, like, thought leaders or TV shows, these are the things that indoctrinate society. So if we can have a moment when we're indoctrinating society with, you know, right thinking at times to, you know, counteract the things that we've been taught. Because, man, yo, I swear, we literally were taught all the wrong things by our male role models. You know what I mean? And it's wild when you come into a moment like now, you have things like, you have something like the Me Too movement, and a very necessary reckoning for a very necessary reckoning for thousands of years of exploitation and domination of women. Necessary. And yet, it's complex because this is what they taught us.
Sure.
These are the ways they taught us to be. You know, like the things that the big homies taught us in high school about how to engage with women, all that is completely out of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, but these are the things that grown men told us as 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old. This is what you should do, you know? And so I guess now when we're in a position as adults and, you know, people with voices and pens and screen stages, platforms, man, let's teach the next generation some new because like the things we were taught, yeah, the soul.
Yeah. And you think about like generational trauma, generational curses. It's kind of like where were they taught or who taught them that? So it's not necessarily, you know, it's a system.
Secular,
It's a
you know what I'm
system.
saying?
It's a system.
And yeah, for sure. Whoever taught them was way worse.
Right. I was like, you just look about it, it's the system, and you got to think who taught them, who taught them, who taught them.
Whoever taught, you know, but we had a time and place when it's like we got the information.
Right.
You know, we got the information. I think that there's a lot more avenues of like masculine thought available to us. You know, like I seen a conversation the other day between Mark and My Hill, who I love, and somebody else. And, you know, the guy was saying, but Mark, you know, you always taking the woman's side. Whenever there's a thing, you always taking the woman's side. We see so many high profile black men versus black women. Who do you believe?
Right.
You know, celebrity things at this moment. And it'd be so interesting to me, just talking to my friend group, you know, the men I love, how many of them are like, how many of us are just predisposed to doubt everything that a woman says. You know, it's like just an insidious like parasite in the mind that you can have crystal clear evidence, you know,
but it's still that.
Like, man, I don't believe that.
It's still that, but it's still
like, but you
right.
know, but they be lying, you know, and you know, you can have the goddamn the gun, the glove, everything, the tape, and you know, and we've been conditioned.
Taxed up.
You know what I'm saying, to be at odds with one another, and I feel like we be having to acknowledge the psychological ramifications of slavery, how they exist and everything. I know people are always like, oh, you're race baiting, stop. Everything is not about slavery, but like really, actually it is. Like, you know why black people run in different directions when we crack a joke? You know, because
I mean, there's so many things that slavery has trickled down within society, from the formation of the police system. They were slave catchers. We're not gonna get into this because you and I can talk about it.
But that's a part of it though, because it's like that's what's largely going on between black men and women, is that we are a singular unit regardless of all of the divisions and whatever misunderstandings we have. We are a singular unit though, and you know, from our past we've been conditioned to hold resentment against one another. Oftentimes, you know, black men have been black women's primary oppressor. And so we as men, we have a lot of trouble dealing with that reality, but we're bearing the burden of all of this trauma the world is placing on us, and naturally, oftentimes going on and enacting that or expressing that on the people closest to us, to the women and the children. And, you know, this show is like something that is representing that at times, but also like a different side of the relationship between black men and black women. Is something empathetic, something understanding, because we can't get nowhere without understanding.
And shout out to Lena, shout out, like I said, to all the writers of the show, because I love.
There's so many writers.
There's
so many dope,
amazing writers.
Dope writers. Like, that's one thing they've really done is gone and gotten a wide variety of brilliant voices, from the writers to the directors. A lot of talented people, a lot of talented black people, a lot of talented black women. You know what I'm saying?
So it translates on screen. So shout out to them. So we got into Vic Mensa, the actor,
Vic Mensa, the entrepreneur, Vic Mensa, Chicago's finest. But I want to get into your philanthropy because it's another thing that I really, really love about you. Um, Talk to me about your work in Ghana, your work in Africa. I absolutely love West Africa. I love East Africa too, but
Me too.
West
Damn, I love
Africa
East
has
Africa.
such a home feeling to it. And I think the work that you're doing within Ghana and within the whole continent, trying to bridge the gap between the diaspora is so important. As I mentioned, I'm Haitian. So just being able to connect the diaspora, whether we're in the islands, whether we're here back to the homeland and just what that brings. Talk to me about that because the work is so amazing.
Man, my family's from Ghana, so I really started building my own relationship with Ghana like about 5 years ago. And I grew up going to Ghana periodically as a child. But starting to spend my own time there, build my own relationships, recognize that like I got this immense privilege to be in direct communication with my ancestry. Like so many of our people have had that stolen from them. And to just acknowledge that privilege, you know what I mean? And take advantage of that opportunity and also that responsibility. So right now I'm doing a program called the Black Star Line Youth Program that I started when Chance and I did the festival in Ghana, where I take a group of Black kids from Chicago to Ghana, have them meet with different leaders in different fields like art, fashion, film, government, tech, and just open their worldview, you know what I mean? Like change their perspective. I would honestly love, we're gonna do it again, our third iteration in July of this year.
Okay.
So I would love to like talk to y'all about that.
Definitely.
In particular for that project, because I think I do think it really aligns. Like, it'd be so dope. Like when we have, we got these kids, they're like 18, 17, 18, headed off to college, talented in so many different ways. And then we'll have them just meet trailblazers and pioneers. I had them meet my guy, Idris Sandhu, who has a technology venture called Spatial Labs that Jay-Z is one of his main, what do you call it, like donors or investors. Yeah, Jay-Z is one of his main investors. Brilliant dude though, and they'll just be soaking up game, and my ideology behind it is like, if it took me till I guess I was like 26 or something like that, 27, to really start spending time in Africa and building things in Africa, and to see how valuable that's been for me and for so many others by proxy, then if I could start these kids working on that when they're 17, and by the time they get to be 27, they might already have whole international businesses, you know what I'm saying, and be collaborating and be way ahead of me by the time they get to my age,
I love that. And I think that what's most important about what you're doing is, like you said, exposing it to them early. I feel like a lot of Black and brown kids, we don't have that exposure to the motherland, especially at a young age. But when you go there and when you see that, it kind of opens your mind in a way. I really don't know how to explain it still. I went to Africa a year and a half ago, and I still can't really explain how my mind opened in a way that not only sparked creativity as a Black woman, but kind of like gave it purpose, so to speak.
100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, being faced with your origin.
Exactly.
It changed the way you see the world. I remember there was a moment when we were doing the Black Star Line Festival. We're standing on the beach in Ghana and just staring out into this ocean. I was thinking about everything that Black people have dealt with globally. And this song by Pharoah Sanders called "The Creator Has a Master Plan" came to me. I was like, man, perhaps like it was the Creator's master plan for us to endure all of this trauma and all of this dispersion and to be uprooted in the way that we have been, so we could be spread all over the globe and, and become this ubiquitously influential mass. Of course, we're struggling economically, we're struggling with power, we're struggling, with oppression, but like Black people are the dominant cultural force
in terms of numbers,
like just on the planet. Like we guide global culture. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the wealth, we don't have the economic power, but I mean, we're only less than 200 years removed from being enslaved. So who's to say, that like when this all is said and done,
Right.
that this wasn't the creator's master plan for us to be this, global force in the way that we are,
That's a good point. I never really thought about like that. Like we were displaced for kind of like a higher purpose to be.
At some point in time, it's got to reveal itself. God don't make mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And like, it's created so many beautiful cultures, you know what I mean? From the Haitian culture to the Black American culture, I know it'd be all type of stupid diaspora war going on online and like ridiculous statements like Black Americans don't have culture, when obviously Black American culture is like the culture guiding all other.
The culture. We are culture.
It's
we
guiding,
are the culture.
guiding all cultures,
Literally.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, Vic, I literally can't imagine what else you could do in Ghana, but I'm excited to learn. Come July, we'd love to talk to you about that. We have Black Enterprise Global, which we just launched. And that's really our mission, to bridge the gap of the diaspora, worldwide. So I would love to talk to you more.
I love that. Let's do it.
Stay tuned for that, guys. But just to wrap, I want to kind of talk to you about what you have coming up in the scope of your new EP, and kind of how you always push for something bigger, whether that's in film, whether that's in music, whether that's in philanthropy. So tell me a little bit about that, what's coming up, and how that continues, your mission of just using your platform and your art for something bigger.
Yeah, for sure. I got so much music coming this year, and I've just been in this studio, like crafting it, getting it right. So the first thing I'm gonna put out is going to be this EP. It's my first independent offering. I've always been on a major label, and it's my first time like having complete ownership of my music and funding the whole thing. You know what I mean? All the visuals, all the creation, all the production, and having autonomy. And I guess in a sense freedom. So this is a project that I'm going to be doing direct to consumer. It won't be available on streaming for a long time. Just so we know the numbers ain't math, and the math ain't adding.
Yeah, but you have a more bigger purpose with what's coming up, I can imagine.
Yeah,
talk to me about
that. I think that this project, which is the EP before the album, they connect, and it is largely like rooted in a diasporic sound and inspiration, as well as like themes of freedom and independence and fatherhood. A lot of what I'm dealing with is like coming into being a father. My son Mansa Musa, like this fella right here.
I love it.
Mansa Musa, he's a year old. And it's definitely changed my life, and is heavily represented in my art.
So now we add Vic Mensa, the father.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, that's like my next chapter. So
Come on, you ready?
I'm a little emotional. Kinda. But seeing you just like stepping into fatherhood and kind of putting the essence of fatherhood into your music, it kind of, it gives us hope. It's like, okay, we can pursue our passions, but still build that family legacy that we want to as well.
Man, we got to, the people that came before us, man, they kept it pushing. And so much. I heard something the other day, one of the OGs, he was like, people have done a lot more with a lot less.
Amen. My mom always says that.
Word, that's something the old people say? Okay. Because he was like an OG, and I was like, man, it's so ill and so real, though, that the ones before us did a lot more with a lot less. So, how could we ever look at all these opportunities and blessings that we have in this moment and be like, it's not enough,
Right. And it's like, we have no excuse.
Nah, we ain't got no excuse, You could turn your life around like this. In this day and age, you could, tomorrow, start a drop shipping online merch business.
And then boom, you change your trajectory.
Where are these brands? Right. I know these people be making millions of dollars, like reselling Amazon cameras.
But see, that could change the trajectory of your life and your family's life.
Straight up.
I know.
For real. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Opportunities there.
Yeah, opportunities are endless. Well, thank you, Vic. Thank you for your time today, but also thank you for just what you've done for our community. I feel like I've interviewed great people, and I always say thank you what you've done for community, but it's special to say it to you because you're someone who's our generation, who is like literally doing the work. So shout out to you.
I appreciate you, Sidnee. Thanks.
And thank you. And we can't wait to see when the EP drops, when the album drops. Jamal, make sure y'all go watch The Shy. Shout out to Lena. And
Shout out to
yeah, I think it's gonna be a great year for Chicago. I really do.
yeah, Chicago.
My cousins start telling me the energy in the city is good. I know Chicago summers could be crazy.
It can, but we got some of the lowest. I think this year is like the lowest like violence rate yet. We do.
Yeah.
20 years or something. It says so.
And even just the creative energy in the city, they get from what I've been told, it feels like.
It does. It's a new wave going on for sure. It's the first new energy that's like really exciting in Chicago. I don't know what's on.
Good. Well, you're up to thanks for that. So,
What's love? I appreciate it.